What started out with a streamer who seemed to have been a humble and honest down-to-earth personality started to get attraction amongst older fans as someone who isn't what he used to be. So, what made people think that way? Well, firstly, we have to take a look at some of the contradictions around his personality and fame online. He was known amongst people as someone who rose to popularity really quickly, and while some think it's because of luck, most people seem to think he is just that good of a person. But is there truly a person out there that is good that he climbs to the top so fast that even successful content creators who have studied the algorithm stood shocked by his shocking growth speed? He has always stated online that all he possibly cared about was to just be able to play games for the rest of his life while paying the bills. However, some of the strategies he takes in his career are proof against that, as it proves once again that nobody reaches heights like these without an overwhelming amount of greed. For starters, despite being one of the top current streamers, he seems to have made an extremely successful channel on YouTube with over 10 million subscribers, simply clipping and posting his streaming moments. Despite that, he seems to have split his content into other channels in the hopes of organizing, when in reality, a simple look at them shows the content seemed to be almost the same, with a slight and not consistent difference of horror game being the main theme of his main channel, with his two other channels having 1.4 million and 484k subscribers, while others are white-listed fan channels with over 300k subscribers. Now, it's common practice amongst YouTubers to split their content amongst other channels to min-max their gains, as it still beats grouping the content into one channel or video. However, whether Caseoh is actually min-maxing his gains remains unknown. However, for someone whose entire motive and what he's praised for seemed to be making a simple living whilst playing games, he has taken a lot of opportunities to get into several partnerships and businesses to maximize his net worth. At this point, Caseoh has more than enough to satisfy all his desires as well as his family. He could think of anything he would want and would get it quite easily. He and his family would not have to work another day in his life. Despite that, Caseoh hasn't been taking any breaks, as he still to this day streams and uploads on a daily basis. It's also clear that he doesn't seem to think much of his YouTube channel other than a source of passive income, as he doesn't interact with it and likely doesn't even edit or make the titles either. Which brings us as to the other reason why people have been pulling away from him. For starters, why does he stream so much? Well, a lot of people would make the argument that it is because he loves playing games on stream. However, he has been shown more and more recently to change his way of acting to be more fake and forced out. Constant overuse of buzzwords, overreacting, rage baiting and screaming and flailing around randomly and for seemingly no reason, almost as you would see a clown trying to desperately catch the attention of kids, which is exactly why a lot of people seem to think his content is more catered towards children. A more believable theory is that his streams have been boiled down to an exact science, and he knows the formula to follow to maximize his money. He knows his audience is mostly catered to just eat up every single repetitive dumb joke he makes. He knows the low-quality horror games generate the most clips. This seems more and more true when watching his podcast with Jinxie, as it's very telling that he pursued streaming not as a passion, but as a way to make money. He abandoned what he really wanted to stream in order to cater to the masses. He chose horror because new games come out every single day, while if he was as much of a humble streamer who wants to just make a day-to-day living playing games, he would be completely fine being himself and just playing games and would still be just as wealthy. Even though he has more money than he could count, it doesn't seem like it's enough for him. Thinking about it that way, Caseoh seems less of a less honest, humble streamer and more so just like any other streamer, caring mostly about the money, just with a different coat of paint, especially when there are streamers out there like Moist Critical who downright admitted they earn too much money too easily and turn off donations, claiming people should spend their money somewhere more productive and shouldn't be supporting a millionaire who has more money than they could count. Now, this all points to him not being as humble or honest of a streamer as people claim, and more so a fake reactions streamer who catered his looks and personality around money more than anything. The more you think about it, the more the entire facade about him reminding people of the good old days of YouTubers starts falling apart, and this is all just one big beehive mindset brainwashing to the belief that a streamer made it to this level in 3 years through sheer bleep luck and exceptional personality, when in reality the world doesn't work like that and grant miracles to honest people. And that takes us to the biggest theory of all. Where did this idea of the last humble streamer come from? Well, while a lot of people have made a persona around him, being that it became a viral trend a little more than a month ago when a YouTuber named Golf Cart made a video titled "The Last Honest Streamer," which alone is honestly very disingenuous and disrespectful to other streamers on the platform who are really wholesome. But he goes on to make a video documenting Caseoh's growth with too much information. He claims that while a lot of other streamers seemingly chase wealth, Caseoh was a humble saint chasing a simple, honest living. Now here is where my theory comes in. What if you decide to solidify a persona that people have put for you after you try to hint at pushing it out for a while? It's quite possible he could have tipped the person to make this video, and while the YouTuber himself has a lot reach, Caseoh himself would have an anonymous chatter request that he reacts to the video pushing out its popularity so much for everyone to see. It makes more sense when you think about how much inside information the YouTuber has, so much that even Caseoh himself was seemingly shocked at what he knew. Some information, however, was too much for this person to know alone, such as what dollar store parking lot he was sitting at when he asked his mom for some money, as you would expect. Through the same week, Caseoh would go on to react to this video, skyrocketing its reach and prompting other big streamers like Jinxie to react to it not long after. Through the same week and a half, this theory starts to make even more sense when you get weirded out by the fact this detective YouTuber couldn't put two and two together and speak about his later strategy and changed formula as well, seemingly downplaying a lot of other streamers while overglazing this one in particular, when in reality all of the other streamers he mentioned, such as XQC, all have a story on their own on why they are what they are. Now all what's left is to profit, as not even other streamers and content creators would dare try to think twice about what you actually want, while simultaneously brainwashing the beehive to act against whoever thinks their saint is not a hero. Of course, this is all just conspiracy theories, but I hope you at least enjoy the read. Smiling face with smiling eyes.